Hello, friends. It's John Klein III of episode 72 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast. And today we're going to review X-Men Alpha Flight Volume 1, Issue 2. So let's get to it. Once again, thank you to Francisco for providing the theme song to the podcast. Appreciate it. And you? And, my friend Emily let me know that, who I used to work with at Hastings, R.I.P. Hastings, that our good friend Nathaniel Carlson passed away. He was the lifestyles manager for a time at Hastings, and just thinking of him, and don't worry, do dedications on here, but if I were, I would dedicate this episode to him. But such a nice guy. I regret the last time I saw him, I didn't say hi to him. Like, I think Walker and I were walking out of Walmart, and he was ahead of me, and I recognized him by his ears. And it must have been like 2 years later since Hastings closed, but I played out this whole dumb scenario in my head of like, I was going to be like, hey, Nathaniel. And then he was going to turn around and be like, oh, hey, John, what's up? And that's a horrible impression of him. But he would at one point be like, wait, when do you recognize it was me? And it's like, oh, I recognize your ears, pal. And he's like, my ears? And because I played that whole scenario in that, split second, I was like, well, I'm not going to say hi now. Like, that's just weird. But, just if you see a friend outside, or even some former coworker, hey, tell them you say hi. They're not going to think about how you recognize them. So, got that out of the way. Let's get to X-Men and Alpha Flight issue 2 of 2, number 2 in a 2-issue limited series. Do a little humble brag, and this is a near mint condition comic. It has Loki choking Madeline Pryor, or Adadale, and it says the Lord of Lies is going to save the world if he has to kill the X-Men Alpha Flight to do it. The corner box has Colossus, Cyclops, Wolverine, Puck, Shaman, and Snowbird. It would have cost you $1.50, or in the UK 75 pence, or 175 cans. The fight of the century. And below him on his feet is Sasquatch, Cyclops, Xavier, someone wearing a blue shirt. Puck. Oh, it's a wraparound cover with the snow giants coming down. Nightcrawler and Colossus is further in the distance, but to show you how giant the giants are, Colossus looks like just an action figure to them. Which, if you have a 9-year-old, you would see how big action figures are as you try to dodge them. In the bottom left cover corner is Black Symbiote Spider-Man, web sling, so that's cool. And this issue came out January 1986. I should mention, today's October 16, and way back in the day, in the year 1976, Uncanny X-Men 129 came out, and I just want to thank Twitter user The Spinner Rack for posting it, as they put out great content. And Tom Breville did it for a while too. I don't see his posts as much as I used to. But I was like, hey, October 16th, the birthday of Kate Pryde and Emma Frost. And then literally I realized today was October 16th, hence his post. And so happy birthday, Kate Pryde and Emma Frost. We will see one of them in this issue. And I open the issue, and literally we get a fun recap page as the inner cover location. So let's do this. What has gone before? These are the Uncanny X-Men, a group of mutants gathered together into a team of superheroes by Professor Charles Xavier. And Loki's here in the recap page, which is fun. And I should also mention that we're back on track. new comics coming out this week, unless Kate Pryde shows up in Invincible Iron Man. Emma Frost most likely will, or I should say Hazel. Hazel Stark. She seems like the type of gal who will take his name. But as far as I can tell, Kate Pryde's not slated, nor is Magic slated, nor is there a third way to say nor? Neither is Lockheed. So we're gonna do catch up on our Loki month as well as get back into Inferno, which I've been missing. So just a little scheduling note up top. They have come to Canada in response to a psychic distress call from their former leader Cyclops, who disappeared, along with his wife Madeline and an ecological survey team. And I've lost the ability to hold a page open. This is Alpha Flight, Canada's premier band of superheroes. Their involvement began when one of their numbers, Snowbird, was struck down by a mysterious psychological degeneration. And Puck is on Sasquatch's face, but the way his legs frame Sasquatch, he just looks like a crazy orange marshmallow. Or something. Next, the two teams discovered a magnificent city that had been raised from nothing, literally overnight. Within, they came upon the missing flyers, all of whom had been miraculously transformed into something more and better than human. And their hero names are Brawler, Lord, which sounds like something you had to pronounce very slow, Anodyne, which I'm now realizing must be a fun way of saying antidote, Beastmaster, Earth Mover, Master Builder, Cornucopia, Pathfinder, Lord of the Plants. But what Cyclops doesn't know is that among the X-Men is Rachel Summers, his daughter from an alternate timeline, a future era wherein he and the X-Men were ruthlessly, mercilessly exterminated. In this timeline, the woman who was Rachel's mother died, and Cyclops remarried another. Rachel wonders, should she tell him who she really is? Soon, Heather Hudson was transformed into Guardian, and those with psychic or mental affections were made whole by Anodyne's healing flames. Everyone realized that the entire world could be made over in this image, thereby curing all the ills that was plagued humanity throughout the ages. But amidst all this joyous anticipation, Snowbird vanished, and Shaman's own magic struck him down. Try as she might, Anodyne could not cure him. For some, it seemed this dream was fast becoming a nightmare. Lastly, we introduced Loki, Prince of Asgard, adopted son of Odin, god of lies, deceit, trickery, and treachery. All this is his fault. And there's a great panel where he's just pointing to himself like, me? It's fun. The Gift, Part 2, by Chris Claremont, writer. Pencils, Paul Smith. Yes, the legendary Paul Smith, my favorite X-Men artist of all time. Paul Wycheck and friends as inkers. I wonder who the friends are, but Bob Wycheck, probably my favorite inker in the game. With all due respect to other great inkers, but paired with my favorite penciler, it's just gonna make sense, everyone. Tom Korowski, letterer. Bob Sharon, colorist. Ann Nocenti and Danny O'Neill, editors. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. Based on a premise by Jim Shooter, Ann Nocenti, and Danny O'Neill. So what a legendary creative team that is. And I should tell you, probably spoilers for the last two issues for Loki month will be, but probably should say Loki coverage just in case some other stuff happens. You can get these issues, these two and the next two in Asgardian Wars, which I convinced a friend on Twitter to. I posted a panel, not the one I'm going to use for promotions, but if you look up my post on Twitter, you would see one, and I pointed out when we get to in the issue, and just based on the one panel, and the creative team bought the trade, so hopefully they enjoy it. But I'm like, of course they will, unless you buy Asgardian. Because I was about you didn't hear the thought in my head, but I was like, unless you don't like Asgard, but if you don't like Asgard, probably a title called X-Men Asgardian Wars is not gonna. You're probably not gonna spend your money on that. But hopefully you are a fan, as we are gonna review this. Canada, northern Quebec, the shores of Ungava Bay, overlooking Jarivcon Island. Hopefully I didn't butcher those too poorly. Elizabeth Two Young Men, who, as talisman, is the youngest, newest member of Canada's own team of superheroes, Alpha Flight. And Talisman starts the issue with, "Here, kitty, 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 come out, X-Man, wherever you are." So she's having fun. She comments, or no, she thinks to herself how impractical her costume is. And it's like, oh, lady superheroes should have more discourse about the ridiculousness of their uniforms and what they have to wear. But she's looking for Rachel as she ran off, and then Kitty ran off after her. And so she's looking for them. She comes across a sketchbook that the sketches resemble the magnificent building they're in. And then all of a sudden it turns into like children's drawings. And she finds that to be peculiar. Almost like, oh, dad had a book and then let their kids start drawing. And then Kitty phases through the wall. "Looking for me, Alphen? Yikes! Anyone ever tell you, Shadowcat, it's real rude to scare a body like that? Sorry. I forget sometimes not everyone's used to my phasing talent. I'm not used to anything in this slippery hero biz." Oh, superhero biz. "That's right, you're the new kid on the block. Ooh, ooh, oh." "I am not a kid, I'm in college." "Hey, me too, sort of." Because once again, let's all question Xavier's ability to give out diplomas. Because I think we should. "Come, see what I just found." "I don't believe my eyes. Is this real?" "Beats me. My majors are computer science and weird physics. All I know from Vikings are old movies." "What a find. If it's authentic, oh boy, what do I tell Dr. Munson? Hugo positively ape. He's my archaeology advisor back at university. That's my major. A Norse settlement perfectly preserved. Wow. Wow." That's a shout out to Matt, our tour guide in Italy, who at one point, well, he said, "Wow." And my wife and I, every so often, will pepper an expression. And then I said it to Walker, and he was just like, like, "Why are you saying it like that?" And so pretty much told him that story, but much longer. So now every so often he says, "Wow," which then I have to say, and then he has to say, and then, he's a 9-year-old. "I wonder how I got buried. An earthquake would have done some damage." Matteo also said, "Shame on you," when you saw a woman in Italy wearing a real fur jacket, and so every so often we will pepper with a "shame on you." I guess I'm just thinking about past friends we've met. And Kitty, who I should say is wearing an awesome jacket. It's like her blue Excalibur look, but the jacket's a lot more leathery, and she's wearing a yellow scarf and a yellow belt instead of just blue on blue on blue. But yeah, it's definitely the Excalibur pants look, with the blue briefs and the even lighter blue tights and the dark blue matching boots. "I wonder how I got buried. An earthquake would have done some damage." "Hiya, Lockheed. Any sign of Rachel, Dragon?" And we see an awesome Lockheed drawn by his co-creator, Paul Smith. And I guess Bob Wycheck. I mean, the whole pretty much, it's a reunion of everyone from the Paul Smith era. But Must be at least a year removed. But how far Kitty's gone. And I say Lockheed. And Cerebro, I've noticed Lockheed came up a couple times in the Amanda Sefton episode, but he sounds like he pronounces it with the both E's, where it's like Lockheed or Lockheed. I don't know. Somewhat like to my ears, it sounds like he's hitting both E's, but or maybe it just hits my ear differently. But it's made me question like it's Lockheed, right? But not Lockheed. Ugh, now I can't do it. And if you listen to it, you're gonna be like Johnson Monster. You're making too big of a deal of it. And I probably am. I probably am. And Lockheed looks amazing as he's like gliding into the scene. And it looks like he might, if he was a little closer, might be doing a double stomp to Talisman, but that's not Lockheed's style. Beth, do you think the village was hidden deliberately? What's that? A rune stone. Is it important? Probably not. Still, it'd be nice to know a little more about the people who settled here. I'll try to translate it later. Hey, dragon, cut it out. Quit shoving. What gives? Oh! And it's a great panel of Kitty's boots with Lockheed like nudging her in the right direction. I'm a dunce. You have found Rachel. Yaw, yaw. Sorry, I was so dense. Feh. Probably should try that with dragon voice, like, yaw, yaw, feh. But that doesn't sound cute. I always imagine Lockheed sounds cute. Unless you're Pete Wisdom, he sounds, well, probably sounds like a person speaking English who usually doesn't do that. Ray, it's me, Kitty. Go away. Leave me alone. Why did I give her such a deep voice? We were worried. You seemed pretty upset. We came to help. Because Rachel's sitting on top of a dome with like rocks circling the dome. Which seems like, I don't know, well, I guess you found a spot surrounded by rocks that one would think someone wouldn't come at her. Stupid meddling brat. Can't you take a hint? Nope. And like Rachel blasts at her, which you would think would be psychic blast, so it wouldn't go through Kitty. Stay back, Beth. Ray and I are teammates. Let me handle this. Rachel, I know what you're going through. I know how you feel, but trust me, it isn't the end of the world. It is of mine. My father's child is a boy. Do you understand what that means? That unborn baby would be me. But if I'm not born here and now, I can't exist in the future. Except you do exist. My past is a lie, Kitty. Is that so bad? I've seen your world, Ray. Your world, Ray. I wouldn't care for it. In your memories, I learned the limits of my life. I saw my loved ones slaughtered. Which must be awkward as she saw her and Colossus's children slaughtered, but she does not want to date Colossus at this point. But suppose your time shift to your past, to our present. Changes the future for the better. Our story may have a happy ending. Isn't that worth the price? I guess. Great word bubble with like the shakiness of it. But it still hurts. And Talisman thinks to herself, Rachel wants more than anything a family, a father she can't have, whereas I turn my back on mine. And how great, like, just plotting wise of Claremont to be like, oh, like, to pair these characters together. Or to trio these characters together? No, I think you say pair. I've resented, even hated my dad for so long, blaming him for mom's death, but I wonder if in trying to so hard to hurt him if I've simply hurt myself more. So where do we go from here? What happens next? Oh! And Kitty says, the cave's collapsing. But it can't. This area is technologically stable. Tell that to the rocks. And Rachel says, we'd never make it to the surface through the tunnel. Ray, can you sense where the fire fountain is? Yeah, it's over there. I don't think Rachel would say yeah. Great. Use your telekinetic power to punch a hole through that wall to its pit. As good as done, partner. And fazam! And then we see right through the rock on the other side with a shukow. Right, rocks are falling. Keep us covered, Ray, till we're clear. We can't leave Rachel. She can take care of herself. Come on, Beth. Run for it. Fast as you can. And Lockheed's also going to come down the tunnel. Point out where Lockheed is in these panels. I'm trying to think, did I miss one? Oh, yeah. When Kitty was directing Rachel, he was by their knees. And what a great way to start a comic. Like, these three great characters, we're going to lose them at some point, but not now. Page 6. Behind the fleeing girls, Rachel summons all her strength and uses her kinetic power to slow the cave's collapse. And Rachel summons... It's pretty close to Rachel Summers, y'all. Like, you heard it too, right? Yeek! That's some drop. I hate heights. Nobody look down. Can you reach that ledge? And Talisman says, no problem. Lockheed, keep Talisman company while I go after Ray. And he does. Like, she's going to crawl up and he's just going to float on up. So she's thinking to herself, I have to phase. Louse slow me down. Could be big trouble too. I have to become solid to take a breath. But I can't be there. But I can't if there's no space for my body. Which is great. Claremont just telling you, like, hey, she has limits, and here they are. And Talisman's sitting on the ledge. Lockheed's like peeking over the cliff, just trying to see if he can gauge where anyone is. My power disrupt spells isn't all that useful against an avalanche. I hope Kitty's okay, but what do I do if she isn't? Meanwhile, Ray, smart girl, she created an energy cocoon to protect herself. The village is gone, crushed to powder. What a shame! What a lousy waste. Pressure on my increasing. Feels like I'm carrying weight of the whole flippin' world. I can't hold out much longer. You don't have to. Take the biggest breath you can. Then let's go. Boom! The whole city collapses. Keep me pointing in the right direction, Red. If we can get lost. Which is fun, because now Rachel's next to her, so they can keep talking telepathically. And Talisman's getting worried. Where are they? It's taking too long. Saints be praised! Boy, that breath tastes good. But we're not out of this mess yet, she thinks. Which is rude, as only one of them can hear those thoughts. Ray's too weak to climb. I have to airwalk us up this ledge. And so Rachel's up on the ledge. I've got you. Thanks. That stunt took a lot out of me. It was a bit too close. A call for comfort. Aw, Lockheed. I'm glad to see you too. And this is the panel I'm going to post, because at one point I was like, there's too many great Lockheed panels. But he's like straight up licking her, and I don't think that's what he usually does, but who am I to question this creative team? I can manage the rest myself, airwalking, but that's it, I'm afraid. Should I go for help? I'm feeling better, Kitty. I think I can carry Talisman. You think? Which is just fun, too, because she's a psychic, so that's what she mostly does. Be careful of the fire fountain. We haven't much room to spare, and a long way to go. Loki's just flying up as well. Tell me about it. The fire somehow transforms humans into super beings. Goodness knows what it might do to us. And then they like get like a power warp around them. And Kitty thinks, Talisman, she brushed the energy field. Rachel! The fire mountain, it vanished. Fire fountain. Now it's back. The instant it touched Tally, everything winked out. I guess Talisman, you go playful calling Tally. It's a choice. You guys okay? And it's a very comical, like, cartoony human shapes in the wall as Rachel pulls herself out and Talisman hasn't pulled herself out yet. Easy for you to say, Curly. And I should mention, like, Kitty's rocking some awesome curls this issue. Woo-wee! That was something. Yeah, but what? As Loki's following as well. Well, since I have some effect magic, I guess this means the fountain source is magical? With a C and a K. And so they're all back on the ledge. For that split second we were in contact, I felt positively supercharged, which is probably why neither Rachel nor I were hurt by the backlash. I was somehow able to protect us both. Kitty says, sorcery doesn't just happen. Spells have to be cast. And Rachel says, if I could do 3 women voices, it'd be a lot easier. So, where are you driving at, Kitty? That cave-in wasn't an accident, which means that somebody was afraid we'll learn something we weren't supposed to. This citadel, the transformations those people up there have undergone, have been presented as the best thing that's ever happened. The solution to war, prejudice, famine, disease, want, all humanity's ills. Maybe it is. But suddenly I've got a whole lot of doubts. So they're walking away and Lockheed's following. Cyclops is your teammate. The first person changed by the fountain was his wife. Do you think they're lying? Let's find out. They leave this scrapbook behind. At that moment, the remainder of the X-Men and Alpha Flight are being royally feted by the self-same transformed people. So they're all just having a good old time at the banquet. Scott's touching Madeline's belly, and she's like, it's too early for that. And he's like promising to take care of her forever. Which I literally made a joke or no. You know, like when you're driving, you're like either replaying past conversations or anticipating future conversations or just having some funny jokes. Hopefully, other people have those thoughts in the car, or maybe that's why I listen to podcasts so much because I can't. I was doing some silly scenario about Walker. I was having because every so often I like to make a joke about Cyclops having like doing something awesome and some jerk person being like, "Hey, heat vision," and him being like, "Ugh, it's not heat vision. It's like a wave of energy." And then, or maybe I was trying to pretend imagining if I had optic blasts and how I will only use them like, because optic blasts in your day to day you're not really using that power so much. Especially if you're not wearing red sunglasses all the time to contain your powers. And if I ever showed Walker I had an optic blast and he's like, "Oh, you're just like Cyclops." And then I would like bring the mood down being like, "Yeah, except I wouldn't leave your mother and you for my high school sweetheart." And I guess that goes back to an idea I had about how hard it is becoming like making friends as an adult. And one of my theories because of that, why that is because you have so much continuity as an adult. So just telling a punchline, like it took me like what 3 extra minutes to set that whole joke up, comment up, and also like you're setting your ways as an adult. So it's like I don't need to talk to people. But so yeah, I wouldn't mind being Cyclops, but I feel confident I can promise my son that. So they're kissing. Um, one of the ladies is falling asleep, so Madeline checks on her, tries to heal her woes, and the lady comments on like something you must know. So Madeline's like, "Oh, I understand," and takes off after kissing Scott on the cheek. It's just nice to see Scott so happy, and Madeline too. And then Kitty is coming up on the scene. Tally and Ray headed for the library to translate that stone they found. The Alphen's boss, Heather Hudson, has already been exposed to the fountain. I don't think we can trust her. I better find a charge Xavier. What's that light? Wolverine, what's Adeline doing to him? She's coming. I better phase out of sight. And then she grabs Loki by the belly and to face him as well. Madeline's acting pretty sneaky, say as she doesn't want anyone to see her. Wolvie's mutant power is healing factor. He doesn't need her flames to fix him up. Unless she was just pulling some sort of fast one, mucking about with a part of him that his own talent can't. Wolvie, wake up, Logan! A few short sentences tell Wolverine what Shadowcat saw, but to her amazement, "You're not angry?" "Nope. She burned the berserker madness out of my system, Cat. I'm sane now. I'm human. Great, peachy keen, wonderful. If not for the berserker, your mentor Ogun would have killed us both. You say, girl, I can't hack it as a man, only as a psycho?" He points a finger at her, making her feel shame. Like, what a jerk. Pun intended. I guess it's not a pun. Just like a reference, I guess. I'm sorry. Hey, did you find Snowbird? I don't remember. I don't know. Pathfinder, Beastman, and I split up. I thought I had a scent after that. I drew a blank. Logan, your berserker self is the wild animal side of your nature. Beastmaster controls animals. He could have made you quit. But why? In answer, Kitty reveals her suspicions. I can't spot their scents. The men aren't back. They haven't found Snowbird. But Madeline's stunt may have gave us an unexpected edge. I was always more than a nutcase butcher, Kitty. Losing that part of myself doesn't make me any less dangerous. Whole and human as Madeline's made me, I'm immune to Boyd Wilson's influence. Imagine his surprise when he discovers that. You get a snick for no reason, I guess. You alert Xavier and have Aurora meet me at the main gate. We got no time to waste. And literally no time is wasted as Aurora and Wolverine are flying about. Well, she's flying and he's just holding on to dear life. And Loki's coming along for the ride. And they have a lot of ground to cover. They locate where Shaman's bag went. And then we see all the monsters and creatures that have spilled out of the bag. And Loki's doing a good job holding up. And Wolverine gets Snowbird's scent and goes into a cave, and Loki's bravely behind him. And we see Snowbird is in rough shape. Her costume is all scattered. Her face is becoming animalistic or elfish. Her feet are like little claws. She has two toads now and the Nightcrawler back stump. What do you call the back of Nightcrawler's foot? Like, it's not a toe sticking out, right? It's just I don't know, a thud? Not a thud. A stump, I guess. And Snowbird's just like, go away, Logan. I beg you, old friend, let me end my days. Like, I guess she found herself a dark cave and just sitting in it. He's gonna help her out. Meanwhile, Beastmaster is coming to confront Wolverine. And he has all these wild mountain animals behind him. And with a roar, Lockheed. Oh yeah, this is the panel I posted where it's Wolverine 1 foot up on a rock, Lockheed on his right hand perched. You gotta go through the dragon and me. Oh yeah, because they want to kill Snowbird, because might as well put her out of her misery. Back at the banquet, we see Rogue is in a pretty blue dress. She wants to dance. She offers Northstar to dance with her, and he's like, I'm sorry, Rogue. I'd rather not. And she knows why he'd rather not, but she insists that she hasn't danced with anyone since she attempted in high school. And Sasquatch and Aurora are... Oh yeah, so I guess she dropped off Wolverine, then went right back. Like, she was like, hey, Snowbird's in this cave. She's like, well, alright, I'm going to go hang out with Walt. And so Walter's giving Northstar a hard time, which then forces him to be like, I will dance with Rogue then. Because, we got to be performative. And Rogue's like, John Paul, you don't have to. Because she knows. And Rogue's just having a great time being twirled around. And then we get Heather, Puck, and Xavier just watching the good time, the festivities. And Puck's commenting about how now that he isn't in constant pain, but he is in a new body, essentially, he has to get used to it, and so he can't quite enjoy himself. Heather feels bad that they're having such a good time while Shaman and Snowbird are dying. We check in with Lord and Talisman as he recognizes the stone. Usually the stones are Odin born or Thor inspired, but this one's different. Yes, it's much rarer, almost unheard of. The dedication of Loki. And we kick it up to Asgard. Fenris cracked their bones. I have given these fools the power to reshape the world, Loki says, and he doesn't have his horn hat on. He just looks unusual that way. Why are they being so contrary about it? Because he's watching the through a crystal ball. Why can they not simply accept Loki's gift without question? My curse on those who live above in shadow. At their bidding, to gain a prize beyond prize, I humbled myself. I did a good deed, but that, they said, was not sufficient. And this reminds me of the discussions of karma on My Name is Oro, and how if he's doing it to gain good karma, then can you gain karma that way, or are you just being selfish about it? Like, is there no selfish deeds? I must yet prove myself worthy, but of what use? Poor Odin's sons are constantly always trying to prove that they're worthy. Are my efforts, my hopes and dreams, if those misbegotten mortals refuse the glory I offer them? And we see North Star and Rogue are just looking at the stars, commenting about what's going on, just enjoying each other's companies. And then Wolverine comes in the room with Loki behind him. He throws Beastman's body on the table, and Beastmaster, and Wolverine's clearly gone through a fight, and Adeline's trying to heal him, and they're wondering where Pathfinder is. Wolverine says flying with the angels, so is he dead? And so he's describing how this whole place is based in magics, and that's why Snowbird and Shaman are dying. And people are just like, well, people gotta die so that we all can become magical of ourselves, because having magic is the solution to all the problems. And so the room's splitting up between people who don't want Snowbird and Shaman to die, and people who are like, well, everyone should have powers and the world will be better then. Then Kitty comes in the room. What are you saying, Peter? That this is good? Yes, we can find famine, disease, want, hatred, possibly even war. Is that so bad, Kitty? A rational transaction, huh? The needs of the many balance against the lives of the few? Which is very clever to make Colossus have this thought, because communism, like that's what he grew up with. Think about who those few are, Colossus. Doctor Strange, Nightcrawler's girlfriend Amanda, and maybe Aurora, and Ilyana, your kid's sister, and Lord knows how many more. I'm sorry. I won't accept this. A gift so tainted with innocent blood is one I want no part of. I stand a Wolverine, so there's a real schism happening here. And Xavier takes Wolverine's side. Colossus takes, I guess, the Canadian economical research team. So the two sides, and I guess I forgot Nightcrawler was in the room. So it's Nightcrawler, Talisman, Rogue, Cyclops, Xavier, Kitty, Lockheed, of course, Logan, and Northstar. And then on the other side, Sasquatch, the research team, Colossus, Madeline, and Rachel. And Kitty's like, joke all you like, Cyclops, but how do we fight our friends? Madeline's on the other side. Your wife, Scott, your unborn son. And Cyclops just blasts the dude. Let's hope, Shadowcat, this will prove as hard for them as for us. And then they just start fighting. Fight. Rachel tackles Kurt, which seems rude. Master Builder is upset they're going to destroy his magnificent temple, or citadel. Ice beams are being fired, psychic blast, flame, hero on hero, brother versus sister. Northstar grabs Talisman to get her out of the bat fight. Because they're going to take her to the center of the fire fountain to extinguish the source of the powers. And then Master Builder shows up wanting to thwart that. They find the sketchbook, and it turns out that with the powers, they lost their creativity, and so those children drawings were his own failed attempts at drawing because he just has no ability to imagination within him. Whereas mutants are just even stronger, but they are not. They don't have any other perks except for more power, but can still maintain their imagination. Elsewhere, Earthmover deals with the most of her opposition, and her compatriots move in quickly to finish the job. And Talisman relates Paul Domestic's tragic revelation and her own grim deductions. And Kitty says, "It's the same with cornucopia. Show her a recipe or a costume and she's reproduced it perfectly, but she can't originate anything of her own." And then finally we get a star in the sky, and it's not a star, it's Loki. And he shouts, "I am Loki, Prince of Asgard, your humble benefactor. Thanks to my fire fountain, you are no longer human. Therefore, what need have you for your so-called humanity?" And Buildmaster shouts about how he loved to create. "Have a care, manling. You art but a little god." Which I wish they had gone Ultimate Comics and made everything not all caps. "While I am Lord of the Golden Realm, take not that tone with me. Moreover, Master Builder, I sense thine objections are not shared by the majority of thy fellows. For thy convenience, Paul Dominic, thy sake, should the whole world suffer. Think not, my friends, about what shall be lost here, but what is to be gained." So now everyone's questioning themselves again. Some big questions. And then Scott summarizes, gives the opposing opinion. "What of those of us who already possess powers? We'll be no better off than before. We'll be the only ones left with imagination. We'll be the dreamers in a world that can't. How long before we're resented for that, and then hated, and then killed? In the end, we won't have changed anything, save anyone, at least as far as mutants are concerned. We'll still be outcasts, pariahs, targets. You will all yield, Cyclops. Or you need not wait for your hour of your destruction. It is at hand. Even your considerable might is no match for yonder snow giants, creatures as ancient and eternal as the planet, as mercilessly powerful as winter itself. You don't force people to accept gifts, mister. To have any meaning, they've got to as freely taken as given. We gods have ever known what is best for thee and thine, Cyclops. Why canst thou not trust me? Because Loki is known throughout all creation as the god of lies." And he blasts a dude. "Thou dare strike a god? Misbegotten mortal, thou and thy ilk shall pay dearly for such a fortnery. Sacred Perry, when you X-Men make enemies..." Yeah, there's people are just commenting about how the X-Men maybe not the best choice. And the giants are fighting them. Shaman and Snowbird are trying to get it together. That racist jerk is Beastmaster. Is going to help them out as the building's collapsing. The memory still sickens me. I still don't much like mutants, but that racist jerk. I don't need to read his caption. "Your defiance comes too late, mortals. Behold, as my fire fountain reaches forth to transform the face and nature of your world." And people are not happy. Rogue figures out she can do something, and flies up and grabs Loki by his face. "Yell, gallant young lady, how futile!" And so they're trying to rally everyone. Madeline doesn't know what to do. And she's like, "Do you think, Loki? I deny your gift. I want no part of it. And I deny the false god who proffers it." "Rash words, woman. Be sure thou soon have cause to regret them." And one of the giants takes a giant bat to Madeline, or Adeline, and Lord shoves her out of the way and takes the giant bat to his own face. She's like, "Sam!" And he just goes flying. So far that Northstar has to pick up Adeline to go for to him. A heartbeat later, and miles distance. "I can feel his pain from here. It's a miracle he survived this long. Rest easy, Sam. I'll have you well in a jiffy." My healing flames, they're dying out." "As I recall, my lady, you didst deny my gift." "Loki, no!" "Thou spokest with considerable passion, Madeline Pryor. Far be it from me to stand in the way of such righteous determination." "You can't." "It is done." "But Sam will die." "A pity, truly. I am as touched by the solicitude as by his plight. But there is naught that I can do, for my powers have nothing to do with the healing arts. That, dear Adeline, was thy purview." "I'm trapped. No matter which way I turn, I lose," she thinks. "Madeline, the man is barely breathing. I couldn't feel any heartbeat," Northstar says. "Please, Loki, he's my friend. Help me save him." "Of course, dear lady. Thou hast but to ask." And like she's crying, he lifts a finger up to wipe a tear, but then uses that same tear to scratch her face. I guess to prove to her that she has healing powers. "All thou wert, thou art once again." Page 36. "However, I want no more defiance," and he chokes her. "My will be done, mortal, and thou wilt do all within thy power to aid me. Have I thy word on it?" "Yes." "Splendid." And he just tosses her into the snow. I imagine to be a jerk, but to also put her next to Sam's dying body. "You're part of my crew, Sam, as well as a friend. I failed that responsibility once. Never again. I should have known my sins couldn't be wiped away so easily." She's thinking all this. "But my baby's innocence. He shouldn't have to pay for my mistakes. He wouldn't be the first. Maybe it's better this way. The poor thing would never know what he's missing. To him, clouds in the sky won't be dragons or horses or ships or castles. They'll just be clouds." And Wolverine says, "Loki, anybody interested in a piece of what's left of this chump after I'm done with him?" Xavier's like, "Wolverine, wait. The battle is over. As Guardian, as you can plainly see, your giants have lost." "Ugh. Good help is so hard to find. However, dear Adeline hath changed her mind, ever a woman's prerogative, and now," which is my favorite Britney Spears song, "and now affects my gifts with all her heart." No. No, that is a different song. It was the same album, but my favorite is that Stronger song, which I know is not probably not in most people's top 10 songs, but if I see a list of hers and Stronger song in that top 10, then that's just not a top 10 song for me. Usually I'd be like, "Oh, it's my favorite song. It's top 3." And to like please whoever I'm having the conversation with, I'll be like, "Number 1 is your favorite song, of course. Number 2, Stronger. And number 3, whatever other song you need it to be, so I can have my top 3 songs." "She bids you do the same. Is that not so, my sweet?" "Yes." "'Tis I who am the victor here, Xavier." "Not so, master of mischief." "By Fingus bloody fangs." And we see the gods above. "We who live above in the shadow, who are to..." That's their proper name. "We who live above in the shadow. Who are to Asgard as immortal sons and daughters are to the realms of men, have witnessed and judged and found thee wanting. Thy petition is denied." "No!" "The terms of our bargain were specific. A deed of goodness, a gift freely given." let I have done by giving these mortals the means to make their world a paradise. And when they said thee nay, thou forced them to thy will, be that thy concept of freedom, of goodness, by words and deeds thou wert to prove thyself worthy of their bounty. Instead, thou hast branded thyself most manifestly the opposite. Pulling a pathetic maggots, dost know what you have cost me? Like, and I've done that with Walker, where like Walker would do something, I would say something, my wife would get mad at me, and then I get mad at my son, where it's like the chain of disappointment, or the How I Met Your Mother. What was it? The chain of yelling. I feel like that's one of them, and then Barney lands on a better expression of it. The cycle of yelling. Loki, stay thy wrath. Thou shalt harm no innocent. Thou shalt allow these thy guests to depart in peace, and further pledge, as Prince of Asgard, in thy father Odin's holy name, never to do them harm in the spear of any fail in this, and thou shalt feel our vengeance, which is going to play a big part in our next Loki tie-in. I so swear. Hadst thou but accept their refusal in good grace, Odin's son, all would have been thine. Blame not the deeds of others for thy failure. The fault lies within thyself. Pompous windbag, someday somehow there will be a reckoning. Mortals, my word have been given, and contrary to popular belief, I shall not be forsworn. But know you have made an enemy this day, whose reach is as long as his memory, and who prides himself on the returning blow for blow in full measure. You have refused my most generous favor. I therefore take it back, together with every benefit deprived from it. And so Puck turns back to his original form. All the research team turn back. Heather turns back. Scott loses his control. He's like, my optic blast! And Kurt's like, some too full. Cover your eyes, Cyclops. Even a glancing blow can smash a body to pulp. Wolverine feels his berserker rage coming back. This need not be. The fire mountain still burns. I can yet undo all that I have done. Be this what you truly want. Be these the lives you wish to lead. Think, friends, of what was and what might be if you do but ask. To stand tall and proud, Puck, before thy lady love. To touch another rogue without fear, to kiss, to love. To be a hero, Jacques Moreau, Illicid, Siegfried Roron, reborn. To live at... I don't know, was that all one guy? To live at peace with thyself, fair Aurora. Spurn me, and all that is gone. Your world will remain dark and full of anguish. Moreover, from this moment, the suffering and death of your entire race will rest upon your shoulders. And Puck speaks for everyone that they're not interested. So be it, fools. And with him fades the fire fountain, and with it the eldritch summer that has kept the shore of Ungava Bay warm and vagrant. In the space of a breath, the air becomes bitter, cold, and the first flakes of snow begin to fall. In eerie silence, the giants return to their mountain homes, leaving no sign that they have ever been. And as the last of the fountain energy is restored to the world, Shaman and Snowbird are happy again, excited. She can even turn into an owl and flies off. North Star has grabbed Shaman's bag and returns it to him. They're all boarding. Colossus is coming on, getting into the plane as Kitty follows him. North Star is not going to join the team. He's going to fly off, but maybe he'll one day come back. We see Kitty sitting in front of Colossus. It looks like they might just be chit-chatting. Loki looks like he's looking at Talisman. Maybe a smirk on his face. Xavier tells Cyclops that Rachel's not in the plane, so Scott runs off. Madeline's like, Scott! Because that's just what you do. And Kitty wonders if they should follow, and Madame's like, no. Like, everyone stay where you are. Rachel's sad, and then she detects Scott's coming up to her, so she tries to shield herself. And we get a fun little chat with them. Rachel, we have to go. I know, I'm ready, Cyclops. I'm told you're from the future. A future? We won't know if it's the future till we get there. And by then it'll be too late. So why worry? My dad used to say, as long as you are alive, it's never too late. Did your father die in that future? All the X-Men died. You know, you remind me an awful lot of someone. That good or bad? Good. She was very dear to me, and when she died, all the light, the joy went out of my life. A part of me will always miss her. I never imagined I'll ever be happy and fulfilled again. Until I met Madeline, it isn't the same. But that doesn't mean it can't be as good or maybe even better. My mom had a saying, everyone deserves a second chance. Smart lady. Yeah, when they made it, my folks, they broke the mold. And she decides not to tell him. Funny, I was just thinking much the same thing about you. And they get on the plane. Minutes later, this is the issue ending. Minutes later, the de Havilland Otter is southward bound through the swiftly gathering storm towards whatever gentler climes. The roar of its engines almost immediately lost in the howl of the wind, its fire tracks already filling with snow. The grass and the wildflowers that carpeted the shoreline perished with the first gusts of Arctic air. In due course, the citadel will vanish as well. No sign will be left to mark the battle waged on the spot, save one. A defiant patch of life amidst Loki's dissolution. A reminder that humanity alone carries within itself the power to create paradise on earth on its own terms by its own efforts, without the gifts of mechanisms of greedy gods. Which is better or worse is how it should be. And that was 48 pages of comics. So thank you everyone for listening. No ads either, so that explains. So all it was lacking was a hardcover or a harder cover, and it would have been considered a prestige format. From the pages of the X-Men, the Fudgy Elf himself, in his own 4-issue limited series by Dave Cockrum. Action will buckle your swash like it's never been buckled before. First issue on sale in July, only 75 cents. Nightcrawler and Lockheed. And that, everyone, is X-Men and Alpha Flight Volume 1 Issue 2. And so I'll just announce it now because I've pretty much all but said it. And so the next issue will be New Mutants Special Edition 1 by Art Adams, which of course means the last tie-in will be Giant Size Annual X-Men number 9. But later in the week we will do New Mutants 73, which I think is the last of the New Mutants for Inferno. Flipping ahead a little. Yes. Yeah, Inferno's pretty much over. We got New Mutants, a side comic, the Uncanny tie-in, and then 2 Aftermath issues. So thank you everyone for listening. And I feel like I talked about Twitter so much, and then I meant to say you can follow me on Twitter at Jacko SIII, and then never did. You can follow the podcast at SNFWM. And you can follow it on Instagram as well, and me at YouTube and Blue Sky and Instagram as well. And so, if you would subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to, appreciate it. Maybe give a rating, as that would help the podcast grow. And just to the memory of my friend Nathaniel, just thinking about you, buddy. And if you see a friend or just someone you used to know, I say hi to them. Alright, everyone. Well, thanks for listening, and I'll talk at you next time. Bye.